Okay. Yeah. Yeah. That sounds good, Wayne. Uh, and we're going to do that. That comes closer to the season, right? The maybe say the
Yeah,
20th or
training camps start right after those prospect tournaments, pretty much.
and preseason
About the
starts
15th.
on
Yeah.
on the 16th.
Yeah, I was going to say 16th. So though you got the prospects tournaments that go right through the 11th and 12th, so they go right from the prospect tournament right into those players are going to go back to their teams and start training camp right away,
Yeah.
pretty much.
And the Rangers' first preseason game is Monday the 18th.
Yep.
They play the Islanders, so I guess we can start talking about that next time too.
Yep.
But okay, well that sounds good.
All
Uh,
right.
Thank you.
So what we'll do for tonight then is we'll just get everybody caught up because we've been out a month. So um, I'll start off with just doing the overall, headlines and whatnot. There really isn't much for headlines, and I'll get into my talk about the eclipse, and then
Okay.
we'll go. We'll talk transactions that I've seen, trades. I don't think there's been any since we've last talked.
Right.
Signings. We won't, we'll go through all the signings that I've found. And I've got the links in the show notes to all those.
Yeah. I just used sportsnet.ca and went through every single day since the last podcast. I only wrote down the major trades. I didn't write down entry level signings too much unless it was a significant player.
Yeah, I'm using Elite Prospects and Cap Friendly
Oh, okay.
for all of that. Oh, and
Um,
that's the other thing I wanted to add on there.
and then again, when it gets to the end of the show and we do the picks of the week, you want me to go first so that you can close it. That way, I just say, okay, well, that's that. Thank you. We have a little pause, I guess, where you can fit the video into the sound,
Yeah.
to the audio of the show, and then come back and say, okay, thanks very much, or that was good, Wayne.
Yeah.
And
I'll cue it so that.
okay, I'll let you that
Yep.
just so I'll follow your lead on that.
Yep. And then
Okay.
yeah, my pick of the week is just talking briefly about people that have kids or play themselves. It's time to get your USA Hockey registration done. So.
Okay. That sounds good.
Oh, and I have another little cute story on the Ryan Russell, Steve Campbell on the bench.
Oh, I saw that.
Yeah.
That's your pick of the week.
Yeah.
I didn't select I didn't go into it, but I saw the words for it.
Yeah.
You know? All right, Wayne, at some point during the show I may sneak downstairs and get another water, but
Okay.
I'll be real quick about it.
All right. Cool.
It's so interesting, but I got to tell you, I got on the KHL site the other night, and I felt, gosh, I know these teams. I know, I got a working knowledge of these teams.
Yep.
I know about the sports stories. I can pick out what's of interest. This is good to hear, blah, 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 And it was really something. I really, there was, I thank you very much for that, Wayne.
No problem.
That's a great gift because I really enjoyed talking about that league.
And I actually didn't go look for one, so we'll just stick with yours for the week.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, there's really not a lot.
No, they've only played 2 or 3 games so far.
Yeah.
All right. Are we ready?
Yes, sir.
I'm going to start off with my glasses on.
Okay.
I can't see a damn thing, but
There you go.
I really can't see. They say you can see the eclipse with these glasses on, but I can't see a damn thing right now. All right.
You look like you were out in Burning Man.
Gotta mute my TV. All right. All right, you ready?
Yes, sir.
All right. Hello and welcome to the Hockey Nuts Podcast. My name is Wayne. I'm here with Steve. How's it going today, Steve?
Wayne, great to see you, man. Good to be with you again. I tell you, those eclipse glasses really become you.
I'd like to say good to see you, but I can't see a damn thing right now with these things on. But boy, they came in handy for me last week or so. I know everybody's sick of hearing about that eclipse, but oh man, did I have an interesting experience with the eclipse.
Wow.
My son and I decided, we decided several weeks ago that we were going to go to a spot where we could see the eclipse totality, to see the 100% coverage of the eclipse. So I did some research, picked out a great spot, and took the 5.5-hour drive from our house out to western North Carolina, out into the Blue Ridge Mountains. And
Wow.
we found a great spot. It was essentially a big grass field on top of the 5,000 or so foot mountain, actually about a 5,500 foot mountain. And
Wow.
spent the day, we got there Sunday night. I left work at 7 o'clock and we jumped in the car and we headed straight out.
Wow.
I wanted to travel at night because I was hearing nightmares of all the traffic and such. So I decided, well, most people aren't willing to travel at night, so that's what we decided to do, travel at night. So I got home from work, we jumped in the car, we left. By the time we got anywhere close to the totality band, or whatever you want to call it, it was late at night. So we got to the trailhead at about 2 a.m. Sunday or Monday morning. And we went prepared with camping gear and all that stuff. So we get there, and I'm expecting a dozen or so cars at the trailhead. There's parking for 5 cars at the trailhead. I didn't expect to be in that little lot, but we get there, and it was car after car after car after car.
Oh, smokes.
About a half a mile in each direction from the trailhead. And of course the trailhead's on top of a ridge, so the road goes downhill in both directions on either side of the trailhead. Well, we drove over the top, past the trailhead, down the other side, just to find a spot to put the car. We ended up parking about half a mile away from the trailhead. And so we had to carry all our gear up to the trailhead, then carry it up to the mountain. We actually decided there's about halfway up from the trailhead to the summit, there's another field that is about halfway up, elevation-wise. We decided to camp on that lower field for the night, and then in the morning when the sun came up, we packed up our tents, sleeping bags, and all that stuff, our sleeping stuff, brought that back down to the car, grabbed, I have one of those sunshades that people use on the beach,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And we used that and a bunch of the folding chairs, and we took our stuff back up to the top with all my camera gear, and found a spot on top of the mountain. There was probably some people estimated 1,000 people there. I would say it was probably more in the range of 500 people there on top of that mountain.
That's a lot of people. Wayne.
A lot of people. There was plenty of space for more. But what everybody was looking for there, and I got to talk to a few of the folks. Met one guy from Toronto, Saw all kinds of people. I mean, looking at the plates of the cars, basically every state on the eastern seaboard was represented there. There were
Wow.
cars from Florida to Maine, all the way up through. Um,
Wow.
and
Wow. That must have been something.
Yeah, it was it was just an interesting mix of people. Everybody was excited to see the eclipse, and knew we were right in totality, and of course got a little worried there in the
Right.
morning because as the sun came up, the clouds began to build, and there was this one cloud that hung over that mountain all morning long. It did not move anywhere. It just sat there over the mountain. I'm like, oh, we are gonna miss this thing. We're gonna miss it. We're gonna miss it. So, every now and then the sun would peek out from behind that cloud, and then 10 seconds later, 30 seconds later, it would go back behind the cloud. So I'm like, oh crap, we're gonna miss this thing. And it was frustrating because we're looking down in the valley because we're on top of a mountain, so we had a great view in all directions. Looking
Right.
down in the mountain, we had we looking down in the valley, and the valley the entire time we have this cloud hanging over us. The valley is in full sunshine all morning long. I'm like,
Yeah.
man, we came up to this spot for the view, and we're gonna get screwed by the clouds, right?
Yeah.
But and I had heard stories from other people who've watched eclipse that if as long as it's not a rain cloud, that it's just clouds that are generated from the sun evaporating the moisture in the air.
Right.
A lot of times the clouds clear as the sun gets covered and the air cools, the clouds evaporate away. Well, as it turned out, that's exactly what happened.
Wow.
So once the sun was about 60% covered and you could feel the temperature getting a little bit cooler, that's when the clouds started to thin and eventually went away. And
Wow.
as the sun became more and more covered, the skies just opened up and cleared. I mean, it was amazing. And
Yeah.
then when it gets right down to it, and totality happened. That was incredible. I don't know if you've ever experienced it.
Well, not from a vantage point like you have. Uh,
But have
yeah.
you seen 100% totality on an
No.
eclipse? No. Okay.
No.
Because the best way I could describe the difference between a 90% covered sun and a 100% covered sun would be like even 98 or 99% would be like going to the Stanley Cup final and standing outside the arena for the game. That's 99% covered. 100% covered, you're in the game and you're at center ice, center ice seats watching the game. That's the difference between 99 and 100.
Yeah.
So I say to you and I say to anyone listening, in 6.5 years, we have another one coming through the United States. And you definitely owe it to yourself to find a way to get to the band of totality, because the difference between a 99% covered sun and a 100% covered sun is just phenomenal, and
Wow.
it's an amazing experience to go through.
Now, okay. I was in Kernersville where I work, Kernersville, North Carolina. Wayne.
Yep.
And I actually left about 2 o'clock. I clocked out
Yep.
on when was it, Monday? And it was twilight basically outside.
Yep.
Kind of like the sun cast a very weird shadow on anything in its path.
Yep.
And so cars look different. The sky looked kind of different.
Yep.
It's not even like dusk or nighttime. It's kind of like
an orange reddish glow. Yeah.
right, and it's like you turn the sun's power down by 50%.
Yep.
is
And
how I
where
would
and where
describe
you
it.
were at about that time, you would have been here in Hillsboro, we would have had 93% coverage. Was the maximum that we experienced here.
Okay.
So
Okay.
Kernersville probably would have been slightly higher than that. probably 94, maybe 95 at the peak, which was about 2:30 in the afternoon for
And
us.
that's right. I'm driving home and you could see it, and
Yep.
it actually changes very quickly.
Yep.
It's not something where you have that twilight like look where it seems like you're sitting in a bathroom environment, and you've only got the sun lamp turned up 50% is what it was like.
Yep.
And then it goes down to like 20%. I mean, it gets a little darker,
Yep.
is how I would describe it.
Yep.
And then maybe a minute, and it goes back to brighter and brighter and brighter, and
Yep.
it actually happens very quickly.
Yep.
But
Well,
you
when-
could notice it. You could tell.
Yeah, and you're
The degrees of
and at 90+%, you look on the ground, the shadows are sharper, so
Right.
they're
That's
not
right.
as funny. Yeah. Well, what we experienced was that and more. Once you get to 100, when it goes from 99 to 100, when that last bit of sunlight goes away and you
Right.
get the black disc with the corona around it, it looks every much like the pictures that you've seen
Right.
with the black disc and the white corona around it.
Hmm.
You get plunged into darkness in about 10 seconds. You go from that kind of dim light that
Right.
you experienced to
Right.
to almost nighttime.
Wow.
Like the stars come out. You can see Venus right next to the sun. The stars are come out. Where we were, there were people flying drones. You could see the little flashing lights on the drones as they were up above us.
Oh wow.
You
That must have been something else.
the cell phones that people were holding, the light from that was lighting up their face. I mean, it is dark,
Yeah.
and you just go from that twilightish to dark in about 5-10 seconds. It's amazing how
Yeah.
how fast once that last bit of light is gone,
Right.
and then for 2.5 minutes you're just standing there in complete awe, looking at that weird looking thing in the sky.
Yeah.
And then, as it ends and the sun peeks back around the outside of the moon, everything starts to get light again, and slowly but surely everything gets brighter. The shadows are no longer sharp, and they get, everything goes back to normal within, a half hour or so.
Yeah, that's something.
So it's amazing. If you get a
Yeah.
chance, you should really take the chance. Take a vacation. It's in April of 2024 is the next one. In fact, you can go right up to, I don't know where your relatives are in New York. I know you're right in the New York City area, but upstate New York, I think
Yeah.
the center of totality passes right through Buffalo with the next one. If I could be wrong, but
Wow.
it's in that, upstate New York is going to be in the path of totality.
Wow.
It won't go through the city, but it will go, upstate. I know Plattsburgh, New York is almost right in the center because I was looking for sites to go, but then I was thinking, okay, wait.
That's Clarkson University, right? No, that's Potsdam. I'm thinking.
Potsdam, yeah. What will happen, though, because of the crowds that flock to these things, because
Right.
I witnessed that, too. It took us 10 hours to get home when it normally would have taken 5.5 hours, so because
Oh,
of the
wow.
traffic.
Yeah.
You want to avoid anything that's going to be a population center. So Plattsburgh, Burlington, Vermont, those two towns are going to be mobbed with people, particularly being that close to New York City. You're going to see millions of people going up into those towns. So I'm going to go visit my folks in upstate Vermont, where my parents live. They're right on the edge of totality where they are. And it's a very rural part of the state, so I can, and it's not a very much of a tourist destination either, particularly at that time of year.
Right.
So we're going to go up there, spend the week with my parents, and then Monday morning, it's a Monday, April 8th to 2024, it's a Monday. Monday morning, we're going to go and head north from where their house is, because the further north you go, the longer duration of totality that you'll experience.
Oh, that's sad.
And that eclipse, you're actually going to have about a minute longer than the one that came through this past week.
Oh, wow.
Depending on where you are. So, yeah, you definitely owe it to yourself to go.
Yeah.
If you've never experienced a total eclipse before, it's kind of a bucket list thing. You got to do it. So,
Yeah.
So yeah,
I,
well, we
I
had a
hear
good
you.
time, and
Wait,
I do have a lot of pictures. So if you're listening to the podcast and want to see the pictures I took some amazing pictures. Um, just look me up on Facebook. You can follow me. You don't have to friend me. You can just click on follow, and you'll be able to see. Just search for my name, Wayne Halley. Um, you can find the spelling of my name right in the show notes. Look me up on Facebook. You'll be able to see the pictures I took. I also shared some of the drone videos that other people were taking there. Pretty amazing,
yeah.
the drone videos. One guy posted a drone video where the drone was in the air from right before totality all the way through totality until the other side, and you can actually see the light. You see as we get plunged into darkness once
Wow.
the shadow reaches us, and
Yeah.
then when the shadow goes away, everything gets bright, and it happens very quickly.
Yeah.
It's pretty
That's
amazing.
that's really. I tell you, I'm glad.
So
I know our listeners are glad to hear that too. Fascinating, very
yeah, it is
fascinating to hear you
fascinating.
talk about it.
So,
Yeah.
but this is obviously not a science show. We're a hockey show. So we got to move on to talking about some hockey. So, all right. Well, moving on. It's been a while since we've talked.
It has.
My record is 7/26 was our last recording.
Yes, it
July
was.
26th. So it's been almost a month, almost
Yeah.
exactly a month.
Yeah.
And really the reason we haven't done any since then, part in the fact that, you had vacations, I had vacations, you had visitors to your house, but there really hasn't been anything going on. It's been one of the quietest summers that I remember in a long time.
Right.
I mean, you have that week of flurry of activity right around the July 1st free agencies thing. But
Right.
after that first week, everything died down, and it has been quiet. And all you're getting from the mainstream press right now is you're getting lists of
Yeah.
best forwards and best defensemen and best teams and all-time greatest whatever. All those lists that they like to do. That stuff kind of bores me because it's all subject to everybody's opinion.
Right.
There's no
Yeah. Yeah.
like I was listening to one Bruins podcast recently, and I can't remember which one it was because I subscribe to basically all of them. Where the NHL.com, I think, or NHL Network put out a list of the best goaltenders currently in the league, and they had Tuukka Rask rated at number 14, and Bruins fans were all up in arms about it because they think he's a better goaltender than that. And I'm like, you know what? So what?
Yeah.
A list is somebody's opinion. It's really
Right.
not, and nothing rides on it. It's just, it's great to talk about, great to debate, but
Yeah.
nothing really rides on these lists. It's just a way to pass the time, I guess, until we get back to the season.
That's right. You're right.
So I kind of stick to, I want to talk about some actual news, what is going on. So,
Right.
and there really hasn't been a lot of that in the last
I,
month.
you're right. It's a much quieter summer. Last summer, you had the blockbuster trade with PK Subban and Shea Weber.
Yep.
And that shaped a lot of activity, I would say. Whether or not there was a lot that went on, there may be less trades that happened last year than this year. But that trade was so powerful and so
that had people
shocking.
talking. Yeah.
It was like Wayne Gretzky going to Los Angeles.
And then you had the discussion around Jimmy Vesey. Where's he going to sign?
Right. There were several things that captivated the NHL discussion speak, so to say, last summer, and you don't seem to have that this summer.
No, not so much. I mean, we do have more of this college stuff, college player signing thing, kind of like the Jimmy Vesey 2.0 is what I like to call it.
Yeah.
Which I'll go on a bit of a rant about that later on, but yeah, it's been a really quiet last 4 weeks, so we've really had no reason to podcast, and so we decided not to. So, but we're back. We're going to do a podcast. Obviously, today is Wednesday, the 25th. And we probably won't do one again until September 6th because actually today's Friday, August 25th. Sorry. I've got my dates and months and everything all wrong. So, we're recording on Friday. I doubt anything's going to happen between now and Wednesday the 30th. So we're trying to get back on our regular Wednesday schedule here. So we're going to skip Wednesday the 30th unless something really big happens and we want to get on and talk about it. I doubt it, but because even something as big as the where Pasternak is going to sign, I doubt he's going to sign anywhere between now and the 30th. So we're going to do our next episode on the 6th of August, and we will live stream that one. This one is not live stream right now just because I didn't have time to set it up tonight. It's been with the Eclipse travel and everything else and
work,
everything else, work, and I've done a lot of reffing games the last few days. I just haven't had time to dive into why my live streaming setup is not working. So, so we're just recording this one straight to file this week. But on the 6th, I'll get everything worked out. We will live stream it on YouTube, and that way, if you want to watch us live, you certainly can. You can find us on hockeynuts.com/YouTube is where you can find a link to our YouTube channel and watch us live. This one will end up on YouTube as well, but it won't be live. I'll upload it after the fact. So, but on the 6th of September, that's the first of our 4-week. We're gonna do all 30 teams in 4 episodes. We're gonna do a team by team discussion of kind of getting you ready for the season kind of discussion on every team. And on the 6th, we'll start with the Pacific Division, and then we'll follow on the 13th with the Central. No. Yes.
That's correct.
Central.
Yes, sir. You got that right.
And then we'll tackle the Eastern Conference on the 20th and 27th. So stay tuned to those 4 podcasts. That way we'll get you up to speed on what every team has been doing over the summer. Essentially, since you got eliminated from the playoffs is where until now is what we're going to be talking about. And we're going to do all 30 teams in about 4 weeks. So, so other than that, let's just go ahead and get everything caught up on what's been going on since we last recorded. And really, there hasn't been any trades that I'm aware of.
There's been some free agent stuff, but no trades. That's
been
correct.
A lot of free agent stuff.
Yeah.
But no trades. So I'm going to pull up my Cap Friendly page here that has a list of all of the signings, and we'll go down through them, everything that's happened. Now, we may skip a player here and there if it appears that this is kind of a depth signing or minor league kind of player. We will skip those kind of players. If you want to find out how your team's doing, you can just go to capfriendly.com, and they have links to all the signings right on there. That's probably the best way to find out which players your team has and what they're being paid. So I'm going to go all the way back to, let's see, we talked about the players that were on the 26th because I remember talking about Ryan Spooner.
Yes.
So the 27th would be the next date that we haven't covered yet. And on that day, Philip DiGiuseppe re-signed with the Carolina Hurricanes for a year at $725,000. I'm including that one. He's a local player, local interest to us, and he probably will be on the team this fall. So next one, Evan Rodriguez, center, signed with Buffalo for 2 years at 1.3 total. So that's annual value of $650,000. Let's see. The next one, we have an entry-level contract for the Blackhawks, which should be interesting because they always seem to get the diamond in the rough. Colin Delia, 23-year-old goaltender, signed with them, 2-year deal worth a total of $1.85 million with an average annual value of $767,500. So that is definitely a goaltending prospect for Chicago that may end up the future for Corey Crawford, who knows how he'll end up. Next one I want to get your input on.
Yes.
Ryan Johansson.
Yes. And I was ready to jump all over you on this one if you didn't. But you're right. We're thinking alike, Wayne. That's always good.
Ryan Johansson, probably one of the core players from Nashville, obviously is by the signing. He signed an 8-year deal worth $64 million, an average annual value of $8 million per year.
Right. First of all, the length of that contract, I think we're going to be in agreement, Wayne. I really do. And I haven't talked to you at all about this.
Yeah.
The length of that contract is, what is he, 25?
In that neighborhood, yeah.
It's way too long. That's the first thing that struck me. But $64 million over the time, $8 million a year. Henrik Lundqvist is earning $8.5 million a year.
Yep.
He signed that contract 2 years ago, I think.
Yep.
And at that time, he was the highest paid goalie, if I'm not mistaken, in the NHL when he signed that contract. Now, I don't think that the league has moved forward that far in 2 years to sign a player of Ryan Johansson. Granted, good caliber player.
He'll be one of the better players on Nashville's team for years to come,
without a doubt.
But is he one of the best players in the league?
But is he at 60? Is he $64 million?
Yeah.
And my belief is that they've overpaid on this contract. And you and we talk. They're always going to overpay during this time, but I think that's an exorbitant amount of money for him.
Yeah, it's a little on the high side, and yeah, I don't know if I'd sign him for you. I mean, obviously Nashville at this point is identified him and said, "Hey, he's a player that we want to have around for years to come."
Right.
Every team has a what I would call the core group of players.
Right.
Boston has Bergeron, Marchand, Tuukka. Well, Chara is probably going to be out of that core, but he has been there for years now. There's a group of 4 to 6 players that you build your team around.
Yes.
And obviously Nashville has decided that Johansson is going to be in that group. And every team, it seems to be, pays that core group of players very high salaries.
Right.
Probably too high salaries.
Right.
So, that's essentially what we have here is Nashville's paying. I mean, Johansson's best season was 2014-15. He had 71 points in 82 games, 26 goals. He scored 33 goals the year before that. He only scored 14 last year, despite playing 82 games.
Right.
$8 million is a lot of money for a 14-goal scorer.
It's a lot of money, and it goes on for a long time.
He needs to get back to that 26, 33. I would even say at $8 million a year, he better be scoring 35 or more every year.
Yeah, they're going to have to see 30 out of him, right?
Yeah.
Until maybe the twilight of the contract, 6 or 7 years down, all 6 years of it. So
now, granted, in the playoffs, he was money, but until he got hurt. But he was a big part of their offense,
right,
in the playoffs, and that team suffered. It probably cost him the series.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing, Wayne. What if the deal was 4 years for $32 million? How would you look at that? Would you say, hey, they did that's actually a good signing?
Well, it's still $8 million a year. I would be more comfortable with the 8 years at maybe 6 and a half.
Okay.
If you're going to make him a core player and lock him up long term,
right?
You give him the long term, but not at that kind of money per year.
Yeah. That is dangerously scary high. As soon as I saw that number, I was $64 million.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money.
For that money, the guy's got to produce. He really
Yep.
does, and he's got to produce more than 14 goals.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's what it comes down to.
Unless he has,
for me
80,
anyway.
If he has 80 assists, we'll give him a pass. But
Yep.
if he's going to score 14 goals, then get 75 assists for the year.
Yep.
So
I don't know. All right. Well,
Yeah.
let's move on. On July 30th, Connor Sheary signed with the Penguins, left winger. He signed a 3-year deal worth $3 million per year, total of $9 million.
Right.
So he's obviously not a core player, but he's in that group that they obviously want to stick around a little longer. He had a good playoff,
Right.
so.
Right. He works well with Sidney Crosby.
Yep.
I think that's a good signing.
Yep. Good signing for them.
Yeah.
Not overly expensive. All right, next one. Nino Niederreiter, right winger, signed with Minnesota for 5 year, totaling $26.25 million, an average cap value of $5.25 per year. And I would put him in that core for Minnesota. Anybody who's signing for 5 years or longer is probably in that core group that the team wants to stick around long term.
Right.
Nathan Beaulieu, or Beaulier.
Right.
My French is horrible. Defenseman who was with Montreal last year signed
That's
with
right.
Buffalo this summer.
Another defenseman leaves Montreal.
Yeah, they're in trouble.
Yeah. They a good defenseman too. Not a
Yep.
he did what was right. He went and got his money.
Beaulieu got a 2-year deal worth a total of 4.8 per year, not per year, 4.8 total, so 2.4 per year. So he was probably a 4-5 defenseman with Montreal, and will probably be that in Buffalo. He's not a top 2 pair. He's certainly not getting top 2 money. So
Right.
but a good depth signing for Buffalo. And to take him from a division rival makes it even sweeter. So, all right, next one. Speaking of core players, Brett Pesce,
Yes.
22-year-old defenseman, re-signed with Carolina on August 1st for 6 years, totaling $24.15 million, an average cap hit of 4.025 per year.
Right.
Pesce is clearly been, and I saw the press releases that came out on this signing. Ron Francis, general manager of the Carolina Hurricanes, came out and said, look, we like Pesce. We want him to be around long term. We want him to be a core member of this team. And so we went ahead and made the move to sign him. Bit of a stay-at-home defenseman. He's not going to get you 20 goals a year. In fact, he only got 2 goals last year, total of 20 points. But any good team needs a decent stay-at-home guy like him. And I think Pesce, along with Slavin, who signed earlier this summer, are 2 guys that Carolina definitely wanted to have stick around and be a core part of this group, and a very good defenseman at that. So Carolina is scary good back on the blue line. They really are.
Yes, they are.
And people are beginning to notice that.
Right.
People are beginning to see that.
You're seeing that not only in the podcast buzz, but you're seeing it with you watch the guys on or listen to them on satellite radio.
Yeah, the mainstream media is beginning to notice.
It's getting behind the Carolina Hurricanes to a certain extent. I would absolutely agree. Yep.
We've been preaching it for a couple of seasons now, but we certainly did all last season that, hey, watch out for Carolina. They're going to be good. Well, now people are beginning to believe that. So,
how much you got Justin Williams going there.
Yep.
How much does it help them, Wayne?
I think he becomes their captain. I would not be surprised that they put the C on his, because nobody has the C right now in Carolina.
Yes.
Not since Stahl left.
I think that's a major help to them. And then the other thing I would say, and here you got a Stanley Cup winning goalie in Cam Ward, but here Ron Darling comes to town.
Scott Darling, yeah.
Scott Darling. What am I saying?
Ron Darling.
So,
He played for the Mets.
yeah, yeah. I'm getting my sports mixed up here. Scott Darling comes to town, and that really, really solidified the Hurricanes, don't you think? I think that's a major part of why people can say, you know what, they just might make it. They got the captain presence, the persona in the locker room, the Mr. Pressure, and now they got their goaltending shored up. I think that's a major part of it.
Yep. Yeah, I think Darling, if he plays as well in Carolina as he did when he had the opportunity to start, when Crawford got hurt in Chicago, and he got the opportunity to start and played very well, I think Carolina's in good shape back there, and with solid goaltending, because you don't need world-class goalies with the defense that Carolina is building. But if you get, a great group of defensemen with solid goaltending, they're going to be a tough team to beat. They really are.
I agree with you. So true. Yeah.
I won't be going to see almost certain wins when Boston comes to town anymore. I'm going to have to sweat it out more than I have in the past. But they're going to be a fun team to watch for sure.
Yeah.
And then Justin Williams brings that playoff experience, and he has several cups. He's got loads of playoff experience. He can teach these young kids essentially what it takes to win.
Right.
Which oftentimes young teams are missing that. Edmonton was missing that for a long time. So, and they finally learned. Although they've only won one playoff round, so I wouldn't go handing them a Stanley Cup just yet. But anyway, all right, let's move on. Michael Granlund, center signed with Minnesota.
Yes.
A 3-year deal worth a total of $17.25 million. That's an average cap hit of $5.75 per year. Good signing for Minnesota there.
That is good signing.
The Islanders signed Calvin DeHaan, defenseman.
Yeah.
To a 1-year deal worth $3.3 million. Now he was with them, right?
Yeah, he's been with them for years.
Yeah.
He's been a perennial Islander.
So they just signed him up for 1 more year. He's 26 years old.
Yeah.
I'm curious why he didn't sign longer.
And that was what I was going to ask you. You took the words right out of my mouth. Although he's been there a long time, and we talked last week about the dormancy, or the last podcast, the dormancy of the Islanders, and here this is really the first deal to speak of, isn't? Would I be saying that correct, Wayne? And they sign a guy a 1-year deal. They may have had some minor league signings. I'm trying to think.
Well, and there's a lot of uncertainty around that team right now because of their arena situation. So who knows, what the future is with that team. And if I were a player, I probably would, certainly if I were a free agent, I would shy away from the Islanders just simply because from 1 year to the next, you don't know where they're going to play.
Right.
Hell, they could even be moved to, one of the many cities that have been trying to get a team. What do you got? Seattle. We've heard about Houston. We've heard about Quebec City, Kansas City. Those are the 4 cities that keep coming up in the press as relocation spots.
A second Toronto.
I don't think the Leafs will allow that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Although they should. I mean,
yeah, you could put one in.
If you got 2 teams in LA, you got 2 teams in New York. Why aren't there 2 teams in Toronto?
Yeah, you could put one in Mississauga. There'll be lots of fans there.
Something. Southern Ontario, maybe.
Yeah. So.
All right. Well, the next signing I've got is Nate Prosser. Defenseman signed a 2-year deal worth a total of $1.3 million. Depth signing there for them.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go to Morgan Frost, 18-year-old center, signed with Philadelphia to an entry-level deal, 3 years, totaling 2.775 at the cap, at the maximum that entry-level contracts can be $925 per year.
Mm-hmm.
Another youngster for Philadelphia, Isaac Ratcliffe, signed. He's a left winger, entry-level deal, 3 years, 2.775. His cap hit is at 842.5. So his annual cap hit's a little bit lower than Frost's, but the total value of the contract's worth the same. So there's definitely some bonus money in there for Ratcliffe, because apparently bonuses don't count towards cap hit, which is interesting.
Yes.
All right. Jamie Oleksiak, defenseman, signed a 1-year deal worth $964. Interesting signing there. I think Oleksiak was a 5th or 6th defenseman for Dallas last year.
Right. Depth signing, maybe the number 7 guy, 6 or 7 on the defense.
Yeah. He'll be with the team. It's a one-way deal, I believe. So he'll be with the team all year, but he'll be the 5th, 6th guy there in Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Vegas signed Nate Schmidt.
Yes.
To a 2-year deal totaling $4.45 million. That's an average cap hit of 2.225 per year. Now, Nate Schmidt, obviously, they got in the expansion draft from Washington. Probably one of the better defensemen that they have at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
For Vegas. Obviously, Vegas is not going to be a good team this year, but as far as who they have, I would put Nate Schmidt up there with as one of the better defensemen.
Yes, sir. I agree.
So, and I believe they signed him right before he went to arbitration. I think he was the last arbitration-eligible player to get signed.
Okay.
And I don't believe his contract went to arbitration. Michael Rasmussen, 18-year-old center, signed with Detroit to an entry-level deal at the cap maximum of $925 per year. He's got some bonuses in there, but because his total value of the contract's worth $5.225 million.
Mm-hmm.
So $925 times 3 adds up to a little bit less than $5.225.
Oh yeah.
So he's got some bonus money in there. All right. Other than that, I don't have any real signings.
I had Steven Gianta.
Oh, wait a minute. Yep. Okay, I scrolled up a little bit. Steven Gianta, 1 year, $650,000 with the Islanders.
Yeah.
Brennan Gaunce signed with the Canucks to a 2-year totaling 1.5, $750 per year.
Mm-hmm.
Kyler Yamamoto, 18-year-old, signed with Edmonton. They drafted him in the first round this year.
Right. He was. Yep.
He's got a lot of hype surrounding that kid.
Yes.
He signed a 3-year deal, 3.465 total, and of course the entry-level deals are capped out at $925 per year.
Mm.
That'll be an interesting kid. From what I've seen of him, he's got a lot of speed, so I would look to possibly see him on a line with Connor McDavid.
Yeah, good point. I didn't even think about that. That's a very good point, Wayne.
Take advantage of that speed.
Now, did he come out of the Ontario Hockey League, or was he a college? I'm trying to remember.
No, he's a OHL kid, I believe.
OHL, yeah. Okay.
Sorry, WHL.
He is WHL.
He played for the Spokane Chiefs.
Okay.
99 points in 65 games for the Spokane Chiefs. All right, next one I have is Dominic Toninato. I don't think I've heard of him.
Yeah.
23-year-old center signed with Colorado to an entry-level deal, 2 years, totaling $925,000 per year.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's one of the college players.
Yes.
He's 23-year-old rookie. He's had to have been a college player.
Mm-hmm.
Here's an interesting one. Matt Cullen.
Yes, Matt
I
Cullen.
thought he might have retired. He's 40.
Right.
Forward, signed with Minnesota
Yes.
to a 1-year deal with a cap hit of $1 million even. Total value 1.7.
I think that's an excellent signing
That's a very good signing.
for the Wild.
Good locker room guy.
Yep.
Lot of playoff experience. Good guy to have for just $1 million. Yeah.
You know, he's good in the clutch. A lot of experience.
All right, this next one is going to send me on to a rant on David Pastrnak. Leon Draisaitl.
Yeah.
On August 16th, signed. He's obviously 21, coming out of his entry-level deal, center. Signed a 8-year, $68 million contract.
Yep.
Worth $8.5 per year.
Yep.
Now, clearly he was, other than Connor McDavid, he was the best player on the Edmonton Oilers. You know, best player not named Connor McDavid. We'll put it that way.
Yeah.
He scored, 70-something points last year.
Yep.
77 points in 82 games.
Had a great year.
29 goals. Great year. A year before that, 51 points in 72 games.
Yeah.
Other than that, there's not much history.
No. Yeah, he's a young guy.
That's a big payday for such a young player.
That is. Here's the thing. I see him, and I think we've talked about this before too, Wayne. I see Leon Draisaitl as a building block for Edmonton and their future. He will play with Connor McDavid. You know? And are they taking a chance? Oh, absolutely. But I think that's the way I'm looking at it. $68 million is a lot of money, though. Gosh, that's a lot of money when you're locking up 12 or 14 million to Connor McDavid, and then you're going to throw 8.4 million to this guy.
Yep,
it's a lot of money.
Yeah, and those $8 million contracts that we've already just talked about this night, just those contracts right there, the one to Draisaitl, and the previous one we talked about. Shoot, it's escaping me now.
Yeah, that was Ryan Johansson.
Ryan Johansson, duh. Johansson and Draisaitl. Both at north of $8 million a year. Now you have David Pastrnak out there as the lone remaining Boston Bruins player that has yet to be signed, who's a restricted free agent. He's not eligible for arbitration, and he hasn't been signed yet.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I guarantee you Pasternak's agent sees this Draisaitl signing. Draisaitl had 77 points in 82 games. Pastrnak had 70 points in 75 games. Pastrnak had more goals than Draisaitl.
Mm-hmm.
He had 34. Draisaitl had 29. If I'm Pasternak's agent, I'm telling the Boston Bruins, hey,
yeah.
he got 8.5.
Yep.
He doesn't have they're both about the same in terms of experience. Pasternak had 70 points this year, but before that never had more than 28. So both players are basically they had their breakout year last year, and now they're looking for a payday.
Yeah.
So now you've got, and the Bruins, on the Bruins standpoint, you've got Marchand, Bergeron, who are both making, $6.5 million, and they're clearly the leaders of this team.
Mm-hmm.
So the Bruins are saying, well, we can't pay this young kid who, he had a great year last year, but other than that, hasn't proved himself yet over the long term. You want to make him the highest paid player in the team?
Yeah.
And Pasternak is saying, well, this guy got 8.5.
Yeah.
And I got more goals than him, so, I should at least get 8.5.
Right.
So to all you Bruins fans out there who are freaking out that David Pasternak hasn't signed yet, I don't see any other team signing him to an offer sheet, because if they're gonna get Pasternak, they're gonna have to pay probably similar to what Draisaitl's paying.
I mean, that is just an outstanding point, Wayne.
And if if they do sign him to an offer sheet at that money, and the Bruins choose not to match, because they always have the right to match, the compensation the Bruins would get in return would be ridiculous. It'll be several number ones, several number twos. I don't have that chart in front of me, but there's a chart that lays out, depending on what you sign a player for. You sign an $8.5 million restricted free agent. You're gonna give up pretty much your entire future.
I agree.
In order to get that player under the current rules of restricted free agency. So I don't foresee any player signing Pasternak. So Pasternak will probably only sign with the Bruins, but I can guarantee you right now the two sides are far apart.
Mm-hmm.
Because you've got Pasternak now who has evidence that he should be paid north of $8 million. But then you've got the Boston Bruins who are saying, well, you can't be the highest paid player in the team because these guys are, and these guys are more important to the team than you are.
Right.
So this could drag on a little while.
Yeah.
In Boston.
Yep.
It'll probably drag on well into the preseason.
Yep.
Because there becomes a point that if they don't sign him, I don't think it happens till like December, but if it gets to a point where they don't sign him, once he reach a certain point in the season, even if they do sign him, he can't play. He's not eligible to play.
I mean, Wayne, it's an outstanding point.
So
it really is a very good rant.
So yeah, I see. The Bruins will eventually sign Pasternak. It's just going to take some time. And in the meantime, let's hope he doesn't jump ship to the KHL.
Yeah.
Because he could go there and the Bruins get nothing for him then.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Draisaitl, big contract. I think Edmonton overpaid for him, but
yep,
we'll see.
Agreed. Building block player for the future.
He is part of their core.
Will work directly with Connor McDavid. There's no doubt about it. So that's why they did it.
All right, next player, Zemgus Girgensons, center left wing, signed with Buffalo for 2 years, totaling 3.2, so it's 1.6 per year. He was with them a while, and it's just a re-signing for him. And the only ones worth noting. Well, there are a couple of them, actually. Francois Beauchemin, veteran defenseman, 37 years old. He signed with Anaheim for a year, totaling 1.5.
Mm-hmm.
So good signing for them.
Yes, it was.
And Alexander Kerfoot, another college player coming out, signed a 2-year deal worth $925 per year. So it's an entry level contract. Average annual value $2.275. Or that's the total value of the contract for the 2 years. Another player, Doyle Summerby. It's probably a college player. He's a defenseman. He signed with Columbus. $725 per year, totaling 1.5. I'm just trying to look up where Summerby came from. BU, Boston University. So, time will tell how he turns out. He's coming up from big jump from college to NHL. So
that's
sometimes these players make it, sometimes they don't. All right. And the other college player, Alexander Kerfoot, 23-year-old center right wing, signed with the Colorado Avalanche to an entry-level deal, 2 years, $925 per year. So Colorado apparently is very excited to get him. I think he was a Hobey Baker finalist.
He might have been. Yeah.
And the final signing we have is Drew Stafford, former Boston Bruin for a very short time. Signed with the New Jersey Devils for 1 year, $800,000. And I know many Bruins fans are up in arms about this because he was, in the short time he was in Boston, became a well-liked player.
Yes.
And, for New Jersey to get him for just $800,000 leaves Bruins fans thinking, we could have had him for that.
Yeah. Yep.
All right. That's all I have for signings, unless I missed some.
No, that's it. You covered the major guys.
At least the ones that are important, yeah.
That's right.
All right. Let's run down quickly a list of some of the players that are still available via unrestricted free agent. And the one top of the list that I have is Jaromir Jagr.
Yep.
He's still looking to sign with an NHL team. There's been a recent kind of scuttlebutt about him and Calgary.
That's possibly, what I'm hearing.
Yeah, possibly in discussion. So we'll see if that turns out.
That might be a neat place for him to settle and play, but...
Yeah, the traveling Jagrs will definitely have an easier time getting to him there because those guys are from Canada, aren't they?
That's right.
Yeah. So they'll be happy if he ends up in Calgary.
Yep. Set up some deal where, if he scores, you get free poutine the next day.
In fact, I think the traveling Jagrs originate from Calgary. It's either Edmonton or Calgary.
Yeah.
So they will be thrilled with that. And maybe he'll end up there because of the fact that, wouldn't that be something that a player signs with a team because he's got a fan club based out of that city?
That's a good one.
That would be a very Jagr thing to do right there, for sure.
Oh, that was a good one.
All right, some of the other players that are still available. Brian Gionta, P.A. Parento, Shane Doan, Jerome McGinley, Mike Ribeiro, Daniel Winnick, Alex Chiasson, Laurie Kopakowski, Cody Franson, Scotty Upshaw, Brandon Peary, Dennis Weidman, Rene Bork, Ryan White, Chris Vandevelde, Feder Chutin, Chris Kelly, Giri Hudler, and Joseph Caramosa. Cramarosa, sorry. I butchered that name bad. So those are probably the biggest names available in the free agent market as of right now. No, those are all unrestricted free agents. Most of them are older players at this point. All right, some of the unrestricted free agents that still need to sign. Marcus Foligno, Sam Bennett, Alexander Wenberg, David Pasternak, of course, Nikita Zadorov, Bo Harvat, Anthony Duclair, Connor Brown, Robbie Russo, Josh Anderson, Brett Kulak, Petteri Lindbaum, Tyler Witherspoon, and Damon Severson are 15 players that have yet to re-sign with their team. They're restricted free agents, so all of them.
Right.
And, of course, the biggest name in that bunch is Pasternak, although Wenberg did have 59 points in 80 games last year.
Very good.
So, all right, well, let's take a look at, let's see, what else do we got to talk about tonight? We've talked about trades. There haven't been any. We've talked about signings. There's been plenty of those. We've gotten you up to date on all the current unrestricted free agents and free agent players. All right, let's move on to stories then.
Yes, sir.
All right. First story I have is, I alluded to it earlier in the show, is Jimmy Vesey 2.0.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure I like where this is headed. And I bet you will see this change in the CBA, where these college players get drafted, be part of an organization for 4 years, and then when they get out of college, sign with somebody else.
Yep.
I think what will happen, and of course it started with VC. He was the headline grabber last year. I just think that it's kind of a loophole that allows a player to choose where they want to play.
Right.
And as far as I'm concerned, rookies, and I bet veteran players would agree with me, those guys shouldn't be allowed to choose where they play when they're rookies in the league. So I wouldn't be surprised if they would add a year to this wait time. So if they don't get out of their senior year and then you wait, 4 months? And then you can sign with any team you want?
Right. Good point, Wayne.
Just if you wait?
Good point.
So I think they should make it a year and 4 months that you got to wait. If you're really that set against signing with the team that you're drafted by, and you want to sign with a team that that you want, whether it be a hometown team or favorite team or whatever, let's add 12 months to that wait.
Yep. I agree.
That wouldn't be a bad thing at all.
No.
So, anyway, let's talk about the players we have this year, though. Defenseman Will Butcher, who was the Hobey Baker Award winner this past season as a top player in NCAA Division I men's hockey, has announced that he will choose his team on Sunday. He said he'll be making his decision on Sunday with my family and my agent there with me. Butcher said in an email to NHL.com on Thursday. Butcher's agent, Brian Bartlett, said there are as many as 4 teams in the mix to sign him, including the Buffalo Sabres and Vegas Golden Knights. Butcher has 2 more visits scheduled this week before returning home to Sun Prairie, Wisconsin on Saturday. He's in Denver now at the pro camp taking place at the University of Denver, so he hasn't been with his family to sit down and talk about things. The hope as well will sit down once he gets home and make a decision by Sunday, because NHL rookie tournaments and camps are coming up pretty quick. Butcher, who was second, was selected by the Colorado Avalanche in the 5th round of the 2013 NHL draft, but elected not to sign with them and become a unrestricted free agent, on August 16th. The college player has 4 years to sign with the team that drafts him before he can become an unrestricted free agent on August 16th of the 4th year. He wants to play for a team that really understands and believes in him as a player and what he can bring to an organization. So it's weeding out the ones who just kind of want good players, since every team needs good players. The second part is which team has the opportunity and resources to give him the best chance to be a longtime pro player. So, in other words, money.
Right.
We haven't been demanding he make a team right out of training camp or have a roster spot. It's about the process over the next couple of years. Butcher had 37 points in 43 games last season, his fourth at Denver. He was the Pioneers' captain and helped them win the NCAA tournament. He is the first defenseman to win the Hobey Baker Award since Matt Gilroy of BU in 2009, and the second player from Denver since 2006.
And Matt Gilroy is making a good name for himself in the KHL.
He is.
But he never turned out really very much in the NHL.
Nope, he didn't.
So this will be interesting. I hope that this process that he's going through doesn't butcher his future.
Who do you think? Who do you think the two other teams are? Obviously, they mention Vegas and Buffalo.
I gotta see one of them. Wayne is going to be an original six. Wouldn't you say?
You think the Rangers are going to nail him again?
I don't think the
Let's just have the Rangers sign all the Hobey Baker Award winners.
Matt Gilroy was the last one we had. And he left ship. He went to Tampa Bay, and then the next thing you know, he's in the KHL, flourishing.
Yep.
So, anyways.
All right. I'll breeze through this one real quick because we already talked about him. College free agent forward Alex Kerfoot signed a 2-year entry-level contract with the Avalanche on Thursday. The 23-year-old was a Hobey Baker Award finalist after scoring 46 points in 36 games as captain for Harvard last year. He was selected by New Jersey Devils in the 5th round of the 2012 NHL draft. So Colorado's obviously thrilled with his signing, and we'll see if he makes an impact right away. All right. This next story has a local twist to it. Forwards Brady Tkachuk and Oliver Wahlstrom and defenseman Quentin Hughes were among the 42 U.S.-born players named Wednesday to participate in the 2017 CCM/USA Hockey All-American Prospects game at KeyBank Center in Buffalo on September 21st. All players selected are eligible for the 2018 NHL drafts in Dallas and were picked by USA Hockey in conjunction with NHL Central Scouting. This event provides some of the best U.S. players eligible for next year's NHL draft a chance to showcase their talent on a national stage, said Jim Johansson, USA Hockey Assistant Executive Director of Hockey Operations. With input from the NHL Central Scouting, this game will feature future stars of the NHL as over 120 alumni of the event have already been selected, including Buffalo Sabres' recent first-round selections in Jack Eichel and Casey Middlestat. And then it goes on to naming a whole bunch of the players, but the one name I wanted to bring up, and there's a bunch of players that are like names you'd recognize. Tkachuk, Samuelson. You've got sons of both Ulf Samuelson and Shell Samuelson that are going to be playing in this game. I believe there may even be a Chelios in there. I don't see it because Chris Chelios is going to be one of the coaches. So, but the one local name that I haven't brought up that will be playing in this game is Tyler Weiss.
Yes, you've mentioned him on previous podcasts.
Yep. He's a local kid, lives here in North Carolina, lives in the Raleigh area. I actually referee with his father from time to time and have done so many times in the past. But he's been a fun kid to watch grow around here. He graduated essentially from the hockey ranks in this area probably when he was, 14, 15 years old. His parents sent him off to, I believe it was the Toronto area, to continue developing his essentially developing his talent. So right now he's a very smallish kid, very inexpensive. But as he gets older and bigger and stronger, he's going to be, he's clearly going to be drafted. If he's playing in this game, he'll be drafted. So,
Yeah.
So he'll be a fun player to watch. Good family,
Yes, sir.
good family, good kid. Definitely at least something for us to watch locally to see. And he's a BU commit too. So
Oh, he is BU. That's right.
yeah, those of you who watch Hockey East games, especially if you're a BU fan, look for him to come. He won't be playing there this year. I believe he starts in BU next fall.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, good luck to him in that game. And I believe that game will be televised, too. All right, New Jersey Devils center Travis Zajac will miss the first 4 months of the season after having surgery Thursday to repair a torn left pectoral muscle. Zajac was injured during off-season training last week. And the Devils said his recovery is expected to take him 4 to 6 months. So that's a big hit to New Jersey.
That is. And they really can't stand a lot of big hits, but we're waiting to see how Nico Hischier performs.
Yep.
They have made some signings.
They still have Taylor Hall too.
They have Taylor Hall. It should be interesting to see what they do with this. But 4 months is practically the whole season.
And that's got to drive general managers crazy. You got a guy who was healthy when he left the team in the spring, and now all of a sudden he's got a torn pectoral muscle.
Yeah, he's out till February.
Yep.
That's tough.
Basically injured while training to getting ready for the season. So probably just pushed himself too far and popped the muscle. And a pectoral muscle, that's not a fun one to get injured.
Yeah.
You essentially can't do push-ups after that.
That's right. That's right.
So, all right. Former NHL coach and general manager Brian Murray, who spent time with 5 teams in his career, died of colon cancer on August 12th. He was 74. Murray was GM of the Detroit Red Wings, Florida Panthers, and Anaheim Mighty Ducks, and the Ottawa Senators. Lost my place. Yeah, and coached the Washington Capitals, Red Wings, Panthers, Ducks, Senators. So he was both GM and coach of several teams. Gary Bettman released a statement. Brian Murray's strength and character were reflected in the teams he coached and the teams he built over decades of front office excellence. While his warmth and dry sense of humor were always evident, they were accompanied by the fiery competitiveness and determination that were his trademarks. As we mourn Brian's passing, we celebrate his many contributions to the game, as well as his courage. The National Hockey League family sends our deepest condolences, comfort, and support to Brian's family, his many friends, and all whose lives he influenced.
Yes.
So, and obviously we echo that statement as well. And the article had many other folks who also had comments, but kind of expected this to happen because, when the news came out that he had the cancer, just the I don't know, the atmosphere around it sounded like that it was going to be
Yeah,
it was late stage at
the
the point
prognosis.
that it
Right.
became public. It was late stage, and it was just a matter of time.
Very good. Very good point.
So all right. Former NHL forward and NBC sports hockey analyst Eddie Olchuk was diagnosed with colon cancer last week. I don't know if you saw this story.
I have.
Uh,
I've seen it. I heard about it the day it happened. Shocking.
Yep. I've been working with outstanding healthcare professionals and expect to be back in the broadcast booth after I complete my treatment, Olchuk said in a statement issued by the Blackhawks on Tuesday. Having the support and encouragement from my family, Blackhawk organization, NBC Sports, and all my friends and fans means the world to me and will give me continued strength to beat this. My family and I appreciate privacy during this time as we focus our attention on my treatments. Olchuk, who turns 51 on August 16th, has been the in-game analyst for the Blackhawks games on Comcast, Sportsnet Chicago, and WGN TV since the 2006-2007 season. He was selected by the Blackhawks with the third pick in the 84 NHL draft and played 5 seasons for Chicago from 84-87 and 98 through 2000. Blackhawks team physician said Olchuk had a procedure to remove a tumor, is recovering well, and will receive further treatment, including chemotherapy. Olchuk is a treasured member of the Blackhawks family, and we will be supportive of him as he fights this disease, President and CEO John McDonough said. We encourage our fans to keep him in their thoughts, and we also look forward to having him back in good health as soon as possible. And then the article goes on to say he had 794 points in 1,031 games for the Blackhawks, Penguins, Kings, Jets, Rangers, and Maple Leafs. But I remember him best as a Blackhawk. He's definitely Mr. Blackhawk.
Yes, he was.
He coached the Penguins for 2 seasons between 03 and 05. And wasn't very good. He was 31, 64, and 10. That was 03-05. That was when Pittsburgh was having their very lean years.
Yes.
Olchuk has been the lead hockey analyst for NBC Sports since 2007, working regularly with play-by-play announcer Doc Emmerich. In the past 2 years, he also worked Triple Crown and other major horse racing events for NBC. Yeah, I've seen him do horse racing.
Yes.
But yeah, we know him best as, an analyst for NBC Sports, but what a lot of people don't know, or Blackhawks fans for sure know, is he's also working for their TV coverage.
Right.
So this guy's a working machine. I mean, he's on the air almost every night.
Yes. And let's just say he is the preferred analyst for NBC. I mean, he's the number one guy. And he was the picture of health during the Stanley Cup, Wayne.
Yep.
He looked fine to me. As a matter of fact, he joked around. It's scary, but my prayers and our prayers go out to Eddie Olchuk. I follow him on Twitter, and I did send I tweeted him, and I just hope that his recovery is swift. And
let's hope they caught it early, because
let's hope they did.
We don't need to lose another.
Colon cancer, if they catch it early, it's very
treatable. Yep.
These days, very treatable and survivable.
Yep.
So let's just look at it that's what happened here, and they got it.
And at 51 is probably a good chance that they did catch it early. So.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. Well, enough about those types of stories. Tony Granato was announced will be coaching the U.S. men's ice hockey team at the 2018 Pyeongchang Olympics. USA Hockey announced last Friday. The Olympics will be held on February 9th through the 25th of next year. So not only do we have, I view this as a good thing.
Oh, yeah.
If you ask me.
Oh, absolutely.
Not only do we have the NHL season to talk about.
Right.
But concurrently, we're going to have the Olympics going on. So there's no break. The NHL teams are, like in years past, the NHL teams are not taking a break for the Olympics.
That's right.
They're going to continue on playing, and at the same time, we're going to have international hockey to watch.
That's correct.
Now, basically, and I read that article, the one that they talked about Tony Granato being the coach. Essentially, what the Team USA and Team Canada are essentially going to be doing is filling up their roster with minor league players, possibly some junior players that haven't been committed to a team yet. European players that are playing in European leagues but are native to USA and Canada. Unfortunately, Russia is going to take the best of the best that they have in the KHL.
Mm-hmm.
So Russia is going to have a decided advantage there. I mean, they're not going to have all their best players. Although Ovechkin is still saying that he's going.
Yep. Sergei
and
Mozyakin most definitely will be there.
And probably, we'll get a good look at Mozyakin. I mean, we've been wanting to see him play in the live for a while now because he's basically owns the KHL record book. So I don't know. Time will tell. See what kind of team that they put together. But that's the kind of team that you should expect. It's not going to be a team full of NHL players. It's going to be, a team that are kind of the level just below that.
Right.
And I'm not expecting USA to do much because outside of those top players at the USA, the depth drops off fairly quickly for the Americans.
Right.
But Canada can still put together a very good team.
Oh, yes. Canada may win gold. They can put together. And
I see Canada-Russia in the gold medal game.
I'm happy to see Tony Granato as coach, former New York Ranger, and Wisconsin, the head coach of Wisconsin now for over a year.
And he's played in many Olympics himself.
Absolutely right. Knows the ins and outs of that. That's an excellent choice.
He might have been on the 88 team?
Wayne, you got me there.
88, 92?
Could have been.
I think he was on one of those teams. I don't think he was on 84. I know he wasn't on 80, but 88, 92, one of those when they were still using amateur players. 92 would probably be a little too late. Probably the 88 team. I would venture to guess that Granato has played on.
Mm-hmm.
So he does have international experience, but yeah, it'll be interesting.
I think it's an excellent selection for USA Hockey. Excellent selection.
Yep. So, maybe he can get his younger sister to play for the Americans.
Yeah.
Although I think she's retired.
When they write an article about her, they could say, and her older brother Tony played hockey as well.
Yeah. Yeah. That's funny. Nice callback. All right. So, that'll be interesting to have Olympics going on at the same time as NHL. We'll have lots of hockey to talk about those 2 weeks.
Yes, sir.
All right, let's move on. Nashville Predators center Mike Fisher announced his retirement from the NHL back on August 3rd. Fisher, who's 37, made the announcement in a letter published by the Tennessean. Predators captain had been debating whether or not to continue playing after the expiration of his contract last year. This is the hardest decision I've ever had to make, but I know I've made the right one, Fisher wrote. This job I've been able to have for a majority of my life is so much fun. To help create that entertainment and to see the joy we can bring to people is such a unique and exciting opportunity. I'll miss my teammates, my coaches, and the game itself. Fisher, who was named captain after defenseman Shea Weber was traded to the Canadiens on June 9, 2016, had 585 points in 1,088 NHL games with the Predators, Ottawa Senators. He was Ottawa's second-round pick in the 98 NHL draft. I kind of saw this one coming.
Yes.
Even in the Stanley Cup final, I don't know if I mentioned it on the show or not, but I certainly said it to a few people anyway, that with Mike Fisher at the age he's at and the contract expiring, he's going to do one of two things. He's either going to re-sign with Nashville or he's going to retire.
Yep.
He's not going to go to another team.
Yep. Wayne,
because he's settled in Nashville.
Yep.
And if you don't know, his wife is Carrie Underwood, a major country star. And of course, Nashville's the country capital of the world. So her job is right there. I mean, her job continues. She's still a big name in the country music industry. So she will continue, her career. It would not make sense for him and for their family for him to go play anywhere else but Nashville.
100% agree.
So he probably sat down with the Predators brass at the end of the year and said, look, where are we at? Is there going to be room for me on this team next year? If so, I'll resign. If not, I'm retiring. Right. One or the other. So I expected either this outcome or him to resign. I did not expect him to sign anywhere else.
Right.
As much as he could help many other teams out there.
Mm.
All right, there is one little tournament that we missed while we were away, and that was the NHL World Junior Summer Showcase. I don't know if you saw any of this. Games were televised on NHL Network, but
yes, they were.
I was either on vacation or I wasn't able to watch any of them. There were 4 countries involved in this little mini tournament: Canada, U.S., Sweden, Finland.
Yep.
Each country put together a team of stars, and some of these were drafted players, and some were going to be drafted in 2018. We've mentioned a lot of the names, but basically it's 18 to 20-year-old kids. And essentially what they do is they used this tournament as kind of the first step in identifying who the World Junior Championship, identifying players to send to the World Junior Championship tournament, which happens just after Christmas each year.
Mm-hmm.
And there were probably every country had maybe 40 to 50 players there at this showcase. So, and they all got playing time essentially.
Yeah.
So it's good. It's good hockey. It was. I'm sure it was fun to watch. I wish I would have seen it.
I saw the start of one of the games.
You did, okay.
I saw the start of the Sweden-Finland game.
Okay.
But I didn't see the outcome, and you're right. They did have it on NHL Network. They may have covered it in its entirety, but
yep.
Where was it played? It wasn't played here, was it? It was played. For some reason, I'm thinking it was played over in Sweden or Finland, but I could be wrong. Maybe it was played here.
And I completely missed it. Let me pull it up again.
Yep.
I think I might have closed it out. No, it was played in the U.S.
Okay.
It was done that's right. It was done at USA Hockey Arena in Plymouth, Michigan.
Plymouth, Michigan.
Yep.
That's correct. You're right.
Yep.
Keith Kachuk was at the game that I watched there. Was walking in, because the U.S. team was slated to play.
And his son was playing in one of the games.
That's right.
Yep. So yeah. So that was an interesting. It's nothing really important about the results of the game. I don't have the results of the games in front of me, but it doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. It's basically a tournament put together so that the respective countries can evaluate all their players in game situations and use that, and they'll probably be studying video of all the games as a way to start narrowing down the players from 50 players. They got to get down to 23 before the World Junior Championships, and that's what that was all about. But it's entertaining enough hockey that NHL Network decided that they were going to put it on the air.
Yes.
So, and for those people out there that love watching prospects play, they would have loved that thing. But we did miss that. But it has been very quiet since that little shindig happened. All right. We had a coaching signing over the past couple of weeks. Coach John Tortorella signed a 1-year contract extension with the Blue Jackets through the 18-19 season back on July 31st. Tortorella, who is entering his final season of a 3-year deal, is 84, 57, and 16 since replacing Todd Richards back on October 21st, 2015. He won the Jack Adams Award as the NHL Coach of the Year for the second time after the Blue Jackets went 50, 24, and 8 for a total of 108 points last season. And that was the best regular season in their 17-year history.
Mm-hmm. Very happy for John Tortorella. He went through a terrible experience in Vancouver. He was ridiculed. He was poked fun at. I'm sure it affected his confidence. I did not like Gillies, the guy who was the general manager of the Vancouver Canucks at the time, and he was fired as well. But John Tortorella it didn't work out for him, and he really didn't fit from the very get-go in Vancouver.
No.
So for him to come to Columbus, turn the team around, of course he couldn't do it that first season when he was partially there, but for him to turn the team around and come through here last year with the great season that he had, really was great to watch, and I'm happy for him. He's found a home there in Columbus, and he deserves an extension for sure.
Yep. Congratulations to him on that. I say keep giving them to him. I mean, yeah, he is he is a polarizing figure for sure.
No question about it.
Because he does have occasional outbursts.
That's
he can be very entertaining in press conferences after games too. That's,
yeah. I don't want to get into that.
It's must see TV sometimes.
It is. Oh,
especially when his team loses or if they get blown out. Oh man.
Or a player from the other team pops off about something he did or his team did.
Yep.
It's always good to hear him shut that player up or at least put his 2 cents in.
Yeah, for sure. All right. The Dallas Stars will mark their 25th anniversary of the season, hosting the 2018 NHL Draft. Certainly will be a nice finish to that year-long celebration. Dallas was the awarded next year's draft, which will be held on June 22nd and 23rd. At American Airlines Center on Saturday. NHL Deputy Commissioner Bill Daly said their work building a hockey community was a catalyst for that decision. So I included that in there because it was announced that Dallas will be the location for next year's draft. So our local kid, Tyler Weiss, when he gets to walk down onto the stage, he'll be doing it down in Dallas.
That is really something.
And I would love to go to the draft.
Boy, wouldn't that be great?
Yep.
Dallas, Texas. Man.
It would be fun to take the long weekend, whatever, and go on down there just for just to take in everything that's going on there and report back to the listeners.
That's right. That's correct. Oh, that was good, Wayne.
So, but we would need some either sponsorship or that kind of stuff help to make that trip happen. So maybe something we can explore this season. Okay, let's move on. That's all I had for news stories around the NHL anyway. So we can go ahead and move into our minor league minute. Now, this used to be called our KHL Minute, but this year I'm going to change the name to the Minor League Minute because we don't only want to talk about the KHL. There's lots of other minor leagues around the world, and you've got other European leagues. You've got the AHL, ECHL, and we're going to use this section of the show. We're calling it the Minor League Minute just because we're going to fit all of those leagues in under this one category. But this week, we are going to talk KHL because they're the only league that's actually playing games right now.
That's right.
Their season is actually underway already over there in
Their
Russia.
season, their season is underway, and it actually started on. Let me make sure here. I believe it was the.
Yeah, I looked last night, and all the teams have either played 1 or 2 games so far this season.
Yes. KHL started on August the 22nd.
So right after Eclipse Day, the
That's
day
right
after
after.
Eclipse Day.
That's right.
Not that they were part of the eclipse, because only the USA was part of that. But
Yeah.
yep, it was right after Eclipse Day,
Yep.
and yeah, all the teams have played 1 or 2 games so far. So, yeah. And you said you had. I haven't really found any stories. I looked briefly on their website last night, but I had just gotten home from refereeing at 12:30 in the morning, and
Yeah.
I had to be into work at 8, and I had to throw together some stuff. So I kind of looked real quick, didn't see much because their season is just getting going. But you found a story.
I did. I found a good story, Wayne. I can put together this one for us. It involves Mike Keenan, who they are affectionately continuing to call Iron Mike over in the KHL. They must not know Mike Ditka,
Right.
but they are calling him Iron Mike Keenan. And the article goes, Iron Mike begins with a win for Kunlun. Kunlun Red Star 4 and HC Sochi 2. Mike Keenan has made a career out of being a winner. And on his first competitive engagement for Kunlun Red Star, he delivered yet another victory. Taking charge of an almost entirely new roster, Iron Mike could be forgiven for wondering exactly how his team would cope with its first KHL action. But it didn't take long to see that the Chinese franchise has what it takes. Kunlun's first power play brought its opening goal. Brandon Yip, just one of many new faces, was the scorer after just 5 minutes. There was a blip at the midway point with Sochi when Sochi snaffled a power play goal. Ryan Garbett, one of the many players to cross the Atlantic and come to the KHL this summer, showed his predatory instincts to tie the game. But Keenan's Kunlun team responded in kind. Matthias Mittinen, and I hope I pronounced that right, another summer signing, produced a pair of goals, actually, but produced a piece of grand larceny to steal the puck on his own blue line and skate off to beat Konstantin Barolin in a one-on-one. Kyle Chipchura, well known to Slovan fans, made it a 3-1 game with the first even-strength goal of the evening. Mittinen, it says a Tampere native, and I'm assuming that's Tampere, Finland.
Yep.
A Tampere native showed that the step up to the KHL held no fears for him with his second goal early in the third. He collected Greg Squire's feed in the deep slot and had a clear look at the net. His finish sent Barulin back to the bench. Sochi got some consolation with a late goal from Casey Wellman, but it was too little, too late to change the course of the game. So Iron Mike is off and running with his second coaching responsibility after winning the Gagarin Cup with Magnitogorsk. He is now off and going with a team in China.
Oh, so he changed teams. Okay. I didn't
Yeah,
know that.
he is. Yeah, this is his second coaching responsibility in the KHL. Of course, I wonder if he's relocated there. That would be one hell of a relocation for him to go to Beijing and live there.
Yeah, for sure.
So, but hats off to Mike Keenan. Started out well now on his second stint.
Very good. I actually have another note concerning the KHL. And speaking of Montreal losing defenseman. Andrei Markov
Oh,
is actually playing in the KHL now.
wow. Isn't
So
that something?
I know Montreal came out, and I think we briefly talked about it in last week's show, and saying that that essentially Markov wanted too much money, and Montreal decided they're not going to pay him that, and like they did with Radulov, they drew a line in the sand, said no, we're not gonna pay that, pay that much for your services. So, and apparently Markov didn't find it, or he couldn't get it from any other NHL team either. So he ended up going back to Russia to play in the KHL. He's playing for AK Bars.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Yep.
That's good.
Or AK Bars, I guess. AK Bars, I guess.
Montreal suffered, didn't they, in the offseason, particularly at the blue line.
Yep. Yeah, it'll be interesting. I mean, they still got Carey Price, so they're still going to be tough to beat. But
Right.
But yeah, Markov played his first game already in. Well, it's not his first game in the league ever, because he did play for them back in 2012-13, which I believe was a lockout shortened season. On that, he did play 21 games that year, but it's his first game back this year, and he has 1 assist in that one game that he's played. So
Very good.
And he must be on the top pairing because he played 1945. Well, that would put him in a second pairing probably, because top pairing would be like 25, 26 minutes, unless they roll 3 lines. But anyway, Markov will not be returning to Montreal. He'll be playing in the KHL this year.
That's very interesting.
All right, let's move on to our picks of the week. And you had a good one, and I didn't even know that this happened until you brought it up to me. So I'm looking forward. I still haven't seen the video.
Yes.
But I'm looking forward to looking it up when I get a chance, probably when I sit down and edit this podcast. I'll look it up and I'll watch it, but I'm really looking forward to seeing it. But go ahead.
Yeah, I know Bruins fans, Wayne, I know you as well, are big fans of this man, Don Cherry. And, we could have our Don Cherry minute each week and just talk about his blazer collection.
Yeah.
And suits. He's really something, isn't he? Decked out like he is. And he was decked out.
Yep.
On August the 19th. Let me digress just a little bit, though. As you know, Wayne, I lived in Chicago for the better part of 2 years. And during that time, I actually got to go see an opening day game at Wrigley Field. But I went to Wrigley Field every chance I got when I was in town, especially. I would go scalp tickets and go sit in the bleachers or whatever I could do.
Yep.
Great place to watch baseball games.
Have you watched from the roof? Outside, on the other side?
I never did watch from the roof. No, I never got
up from the roof of those buildings.
And that has actually become a much more popular place to watch the game from. I lived in Chicago back in the late 80s.
Oh, okay.
And so it wasn't as popular as it is now.
Yeah.
But I used to love to watch, and rarely, most of the time when they did the 7th inning stretch, Harry Carey sang the song. But sometimes Bill Murray was there one time. They would have people on guests on to sing the song. But it is a
most of the time it was Harry Carey. But then after his passing, they've continued the tradition. They just bring someone new in each game.
That's correct.
Yep.
And Harry Carey was just people give him a bad time. They give him a hard time. But he was hilarious. He was Mr. Cub.
Yep.
And they really flourished whether or not they made the playoffs. They were fun to watch. He was entertaining to listen to, and he just a great personality. He made things so good. But Don Cherry, getting back to Don Cherry was in Chicago on the 19th of August, and he was the person selected to sing "Take Me Out to the Ball Game." And so, and I didn't know this, but if you go on NHL.com, they have the video. And it's not a story. It's just the video. This video apparently went viral and did very, very well when people found out about it. but he sang the seventh inning stretch. And I don't have an article to report on regarding it, but during the video, he does talk very, very fondly and very, very encouragingly to Eddie Olczyk. So you'll get a good taste for that, and
Cool.
I think it's something our listeners will really enjoy listening to.
Cool. Yeah, that sounds. I'm looking forward to seeing it because I haven't even seen it yet. So,
Yes.
and what I'll do for the listeners of this podcast is, I will go ahead and insert it. I'll edit it in, and so that you can listen to it. Right after we're done talking about it here, and then that way you can at least hear it anyway.
That would be great.
And then we'll just go ahead and insert it right here, and then we'll move on to the next thing. Well,
Super.
my picks of the week are essentially just a couple of little things. First and foremost, I want to, because I'm a player, I was a coach, and I continue to be a referee of the game at the amateur level or the grassroots level, whatever you want to call it. I want to remind everyone in the U.S. and Canada, if you or someone in your family wants to play hockey or continue to play hockey, if you haven't done so already, now is the time that you need to get yourself registered for this upcoming season. Typically what USA Hockey does, I'm not sure what Hockey Canada does, but USA Hockey generally, August 1st, they kind of turn over from one season to the next. So as of August 1st, I could go ahead and register as an official or as a player for the upcoming season. So if you are interested in playing, or you have children that are going to play, or if you're going to get involved in the hockey at your local level, it is time now to go ahead and go to usahockey.com. And get yourself registered. Now, as for Canada, I think it's Hockey Canada. Let me look it up real quick. HockeyCanada.ca is the website for, yes, that is the website for, it's HockeyCanada.ca is the website to look at hockey at the grassroots level. And they do things a little bit differently in that they kind of get you, instead of handling the registration at the national level like USA Hockey does. Like USA Hockey, if you're an American, you're going to play hockey, you're going to register as a player, ref, coach, whatever, right through USA Hockey's website. Canada, from what I understand, points you to your local affiliate. But you can go on to hockeycanada.ca, search for that local community, and then, follow the links from there. So, but, seasons are getting going. If they haven't already, I know here in the Carolinas, they get started real early. Like the end of August, where, youth hockey is starting right up.
Right.
In Maine, it's traditional for hockey not to get started till about early October. You're getting your paperwork together. By mid-October to late October, you're getting on the ice for the first time. So you still got a while yet, at least in the state of Maine. But travel programs for sure. If you're part of a travel program, you already know what you're doing. This message isn't for those folks. This is for folks that are fairly new to the game or just want to get involved for the first time. Now's the time you want to definitely start looking into what you need to do, and in the American situation, usahockey.com is the first place to start to get yourself started, and then you can find out from there where you need to go from there. So that was one of my so-called picks of the week. Then the other one was, I don't know if you've seen these videos. I first started seeing them, I think, on Facebook. You know how Facebook, you get videos that kind of just pop into your news feed.
Yep.
There's these guys, Ryan Russell and Steve Campbell, had started this series, and it's actually kind of caught on because now they're getting NHL players showing up in their videos. But it started off, they're basically two guys from Alberta. They've been longtime friends, and they've become kind of famous in the hockey community for their series. It's called On the Bench.
Oh, okay.
And it's it basically what they're doing is trying to teach tutorials on how to do certain things in hockey. You know, how to take a slap shot, how to hit somebody, and that kind of stuff. But it's hilarious because when they actually perform these things that they're trying to teach, they're horrible at it. I mean, it's funny. Like this one video I was watching, he's trying to shoot a slap shot, and he's like, okay, I'm gonna pick the upper right hand corner, and he goes to take the shot. The puck never leaves the surface of the ice, and then, or it's actually not ice. They're doing it on an outdoor rink in the middle of summer. The puck never leaves the concrete, and it misses the net completely. And he's supposedly shooting top right, and then they show, their recent episodes, because they've caught on and become so popular, now they're getting NHL players will come on, and first they'll show it horribly how they do it, and then the NHL player will come on and show you really how to do it, right? So they're all funny, and they use all these, they teach you the hockey lingo, so to speak, and they refer to their episodes as epis. They want to teach people how to play hockey one epi at a time. Is kind of, so it's very goofy. It's meant to be a comedy, really, more than anything. But if you and they're on YouTube, I know that. But if you look it up, if you just look up On the Bench hockey, that kind of thing. One guy is, they're wearing jerseys, but on top of their jerseys, they've got like flannel vests over their jerseys. One guy's wearing an old-fashioned, they both have really long hair. One guy's wearing old-fashioned hockey helmet, like a leather hockey helmet with cowboy boots. Another guy's got a cowboy hat and who knows what. Funniest one, though, that I saw was the time where they're showing people how to skate. But they're not on ice. They're on this outdoor rink in the middle of summer, and the surface of the rink is concrete. So they're trying to skate on the concrete with actual ice hockey skates. And you see it as their skates, they're striding up the ice. You're seeing sparks come flying off their blades. It's freaking hilarious. And the sound that it makes, if you've ever owned a pair of skates and you know what concrete does to skates, you're just cringing the whole time because you're seeing the sparks flying. The steel of the skate is grinding against the asphalt. It's hilarious. It's hilarious to see. But I've got a link to the article on NHL.com that features these guys, and if you want to laugh, a hockey-related laugh, it's definitely a good series too. I think the article says they've had, through August 20th, they have 38 episodes, but they've been incredibly popular.
That's great.
And it's funny.
That is.
But yeah, you got to check out the skating one. It's
going
hilarious. Because you see the sparks flying from their skates as they're trying to teach power skating on skating on concrete. It's like, well, we don't have any ice, and so we're just going to show you on the rink here, but this is what you do. You see them skating, sparks going everywhere. It's hilarious. All right, so that was my pick of the week. So other than that, there's really nothing else going on.
I think we got it covered, Wayne.
All right, so let's look ahead to the next episode. Like we said earlier in the show, we've got September 6th is when the next one is going to be. We're going to try to stream it live on YouTube. If you go to hockeynuts.com/YouTube, you can get that will send you right to our YouTube channel, and you can watch us right on there. If you want to get involved with the show, you can email us at feedback@thehockeynuts.com, or you can tweet us. I'm at Wayne Halley 9. Steve is at SBall504man. Our Facebook page is facebook.com/thehockeynuts. And our YouTube channel is at thehockeynuts.com/YouTube. So those are probably the major places that you can find us. And obviously, like always, we encourage you to share our show with everyone that you know is a hockey fan and listens to podcasts. You can find us on all the major podcast distributors, including Apple, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, all those. You can find us there. Whatever app you use on your phone to listen to podcasts, if you do a search for the Hockey Nuts, you're sure to find us. So, other than that, it's been a pretty quiet summer, so
it has.
We're going to go ahead and wrap things up. Oh, one more thing. The last show, I talked about getting some guys together to do fantasy hockey. We've had a number of people reply. I haven't chanced to reply back, so if you have replied showing that you're interested in joining the Fantasy Hockey League, rest assured I got your email. I just haven't had a chance to reply back to everybody just yet. We're still in the very early stages anyway of getting the Fantasy Hockey League together, but at some point here, I'm still, I also play fantasy football, so I'm still in fantasy football mode at this point until that season gets going. Once we get through week 1 of the NFL and the fantasy football league that I'm involved in is up and going and, started and going, kind of on cruise control, that's when I'll dig heavy duty into getting the hockey ready. So it's not too late if you want to get involved with the Fantasy Hockey League. Send us an email at feedback@thehockeynuts.com, and I will get you all the information. Eventually, you may not hear from me right away, but eventually I'll get you all the information on the Fantasy Hockey League. I do know for sure that we are going to be, because the service, we use CBS CBS Fantasy Commissioner, whatever you want to call it, and it's something you have to pay for just to get the service. So it won't be a free league. And generally, what we do, or what we've done in years past, is it has been $50 for the year, and then of course all that money goes into one pool, and we take out the money that we need to pay for the service. There's a trophy, and actually, you can't see. Yeah, you can kind of see it. Let me get the mic out of the way. There it is, right there. Get this mic out of the way. All right. Mike is pointed right at it. Right, if you're watching the video, right there is the trophy. Right there where I pointed. And then, for those of you listening, you can't see. Actually, there's a good shot of it right. Okay. Anyway, right there where my finger is pointing. And if you're listening, I'm pointing straight up over my head at the Fantasy Hockey Trophy, which is on display in my office. That is a trophy we've used for this league since its inception back in 2000. And we will continue using that trophy. So it's kind of like the Stanley Cup. If you win it, you don't get to keep it. You keep it until you lose it, essentially. And that will be, along with the money. But every year we have to add a plaque to the trophy, so that costs money, of course. So anyway, all the money goes into the pool, and then we take the money out for the software, and then we take money out to update the trophy and shipping it to and from the winner. That the league pays for that as well. So there's a little bit of money that comes out just for the operational costs of the league, and then the rest of the money goes into the pot and goes to the winners of the league. And there's more than one. There's obviously the overall winner gets the vast majority of it, and then second place, third place, and I think there's a consolation prize for the team that has the most fantasy points but doesn't ultimately do anything with it. There's a small consolation part with that as well. But anyway, Details will come if you get into, email us. Again, email us at feedback@thehockeynuts.com if you want to play fantasy hockey. And, of course, each week as the season goes on, I'll add a little 2 to 5 minute addition onto the end of the podcast. So if you're not interested in fantasy hockey, just simply stop listening at that point. Move on to your next podcast that you listen to. And if you are, continue listening past the end of our show, and there'll be a 2 to 5 minute blurb about our league after that. So that's, I guess, how we'll handle that this year. But anyway, if you are interested, email us. If not, just ignore this and move on. And for those who have emailed, I have dates and times of everybody's emails, so I know who emailed me when, and obviously it's first come, first serve. And we'll get everybody in. And if there is enough interest, I may do 2 leagues. So, there's that. I may do, this league here and then do a second league if we get enough interest. So, so with that, we'll go ahead and end the show altogether, and we'll go from there.
Good working with you, Wayne. Once again, enjoyable. I'm glad hockey's finally starting up again.
It is finally starting up. It's been a long hiatus, and I'm excited finally for the start of the season. So,
yes.
All right. Well, in about 10 days, we'll do another podcast. So until then, we'll see you then.
Good night.
All right. Have a good one. All right.
Oh, that turned out good. That's going to be a good one, Wayne.
Yep. And actually, a shade over. Well, the raw recording is a shade over 2 hours, but once I cut down all the pauses and everything else, that will, I think we'll be shortened down to about an hour and a half probably by the time I'm done editing.
Yeah, that'll be good. That'll be a good one.
So it's been a while since we put one out, so everybody will be pretty excited about getting us one.
Yep.
Are you on Facebook at all?
I'm not on Facebook.
Okay.
I really don't mess around very much on social media. I'm just on Twitter.
Okay.
My wife actually closed her Facebook account because of all the mess going on.
Oh, it's the political crap is ridiculous.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out how to get you the photos I took.
Yeah, I would love to see them.
Because I posted the best ones on Facebook. Let me see. Actually, I think I can. I made the album public. I think I can email you a link to it. I'll try that. Let me see. Let me see if I can do that real quick. Facebook. I gotta find the album here first. Facebook.com. Uh-oh. Edelman got hurt tonight. That's not good for Patriots fans. All right. Here it is. Album, Great American Eclipse. Can I share it? Stop featuring. Get link. There we go. You can use this link to share this photo album with anyone, even if they don't have a Facebook account. Anyone with the link will be able to see your photo album. Perfect. That's what I want. All right, copy that. Put it into email. Gmail. Now, the pictures that are in this album, just to give you a rough idea where I'm at in the whole process, because the way I take, I'm kind of learning how to do like professional grade photography.
Mm-hmm.
And the way the pros do it is they shoot in RAW format.
Okay.
I don't know if you've ever owned a DSLR camera. Do you have a?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. A camera that you can put in manual mode anyway, where you can control the shutter speed completely manually. Control the shutter speed, the aperture and the ISO. Okay. Well, anyway, with these cameras, the modern day cameras have this, what they call is shooting in RAW. And what that is it's kind of like the equivalent in music and audio is saving it in WAV format, where the files are, it's uncompressed, meaning all the information is there. Of course, the file is much bigger than, say, like an MP3, right? Like traditionally, CDs, audio CDs, the music is saved in WAV format, and you can only fit 12 songs on a disc.
Right.
12 to 15 songs on a disc, right? Well, if you take those songs and convert it to MP3, which is a compressed format, you can fit hundreds of the songs on that same CD. Well, photographs works the same way.
Okay.
Your JPEGs that you see online on websites that generally are JPEGs, that's a compressed format of the photograph. The RAW format is the uncompressed version. So all the information is there that the camera can possibly capture. And I shoot in that RAW format. And then the camera that I have can also simultaneously save a file in RAW and in JPEG. But the camera is ultimately setting or doing the settings for the JPEG format. It's compressing the file down to what it thinks it should look like. Well, what I do is I take the RAW file, bring it into Adobe Lightroom, which is a photo editing software, and I can change it to what I want the picture to look like, and then create JPEGs from that. So, and what I generally do is I can punch up the colors to make the colors more vibrant, make bright areas brighter, make dark areas darker. Just make the picture look overall much better. I can adjust the white balance. Like if you're in a room that should be, this wall should, say for example, this wall right here that I'm pointing at should be white, but it's not.
Right.
It shows up yellow on camera. Well, you can adjust that in Lightroom.
Okay.
So that it's, you're adjusting the colors, you're adjusting the exposures, that kind of stuff to make the picture look better overall. Okay? So what I do is I take the RAW files, put them in Lightroom, make them better, and then create new JPEGs that I can then put up online that look more professionally done. So all of the professional photographers that you've seen, all of their work has gone through this process.
Okay.
They take the raw image out of the camera. They make it better. Like for wedding photography, it's common to put kind of a haze to it, to some of the photographs to kind of, make things look all dreamy,
right.
for wedding photography. All that stuff is done in Lightroom and in Photoshop. Well, this album that I put up is just the straight out of the camera images. I haven't touched them up. I haven't done anything to them as of right now. So anyway, that's what this is. Eventually, when I have more time, I will take these images and put them through Lightroom and make them look better.
Okay. Now, what did you call that program that you're sending that allows someone to access even if they're not on Facebook?
I'm going to send you a link.
Okay.
So all you got to do, it's kind of like the same thing what I do with the show notes. Just click on the link, and that'll send you right to the photo album, so you can look at all. There's like 150. Great. There's like 150 some pictures that I put up.
That would be great. Yeah. This is going to be exceptionally good podcast because of that. I really enjoyed listening to you about that.
So, yeah. Yeah, good. I hope so. And I hope everybody takes my advice and goes to see the next one.
I'm definitely going to do it. I hope I remember, but I'm sure I will.
I'll remind you.
All kinds of hype before it goes. Yeah. It's good.
Put in your vacation request early, because there'll be a lot of people requesting that one, because you'll have to go probably because you have to contend with weather too. And the Northeast in April, I have no choice. I pretty much have to go to the Northeast because I want my parents to experience it. And 7 years from now, they'll be approaching 80 years old.
Yeah.
So for them to travel is probably not going to be the easiest thing to do. But if you don't have to go anywhere to visit someone who's close to totality,
Hmm.
your best bet will probably go. It's supposed to go right through Dallas.
Oh.
It's basically coming up from Mexico, going into Texas through Dallas, and then following a northeasterly path. So it goes
Wow.
up through like Cleveland,
Hmm.
then into Buffalo, and it's kind of curving to the east as it's going north. So it kind of curves through upstate New York, crosses right. It goes right over Plattsburgh, New York, and then crosses into like Grand Isle County in Vermont.
Hmm.
Goes right over St. Albans, Vermont,
Hmm.
just north of Burlington, and then it goes into Canada from there.
Wow.
But it's traveling almost easterly at that point. So then the shadow continues almost easterly until it gets, you know how Maine goes up much further than Vermont and New Hampshire. Well, the
What?
shadow goes into Canada, but then actually crosses back into Maine,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
goes right over Mount Katahdin in Maine, Baxter State Park, and then continues almost easterly at that point until it gets to Holton, Maine, and then it crosses into Canada into New Brunswick from there.
Wow.
And then Newfoundland is also going to be part of it. So it goes out to sea over Newfoundland.
That's really
Um,
something.
so, yeah, so you're going to have to go, and the path of totality is only about a 70-mile wide path.
Wow.
And to get the longest amount of duration of the covered sun, you have to get as close to the center of that path as possible.
Mm-hmm.
And there are maps all over the place online that you can go to that will show you exactly almost right to the foot
Mm-hmm.
where the center of totality is.
That is something
And
else.
as long as you're within a mile or two of that center path of totality, you'll have the maximum length of time in the shadow.
That's really interesting.
But if I hadn't, if my parents didn't live right on the edge of totality, and if they weren't at the age that they're going to be when this thing comes, I personally would probably try to go to Texas to see it, because
Wow.
at that time of year, you're most likely going to have the best, best possibility of clear skies down there.
Mm-hmm.
The Northeast tends to be kind of rainy in April, so.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I don't have a choice. I've got to go see them. I've got to
That's
go
gonna
see
be
them and make them a part of it.
that'll be neat.
So I'll be heading for northern Vermont for that. I've got a good thing is with me going to northern Vermont and going to where they live is, I grew up in that area, so I'm very familiar with that area. So if the main roads end up being jammed with traffic, I know all the dirt roads. I know all the
That's-
bypasses that can get me around all that traffic. So, but anyway,
That's very interesting. Got a little time to put something together, but I'll do something. I'm looking forward to seeing these pictures.
so yeah, just click on that link. It'll take you right to the photo album, and the ones that you see of there'll be 3 or 4 on there that have stars. That was the
Yeah.
night before. That was right after we arrived. We arrived to our campsite, set up the tents,
Oh, wow.
and then once the tents were set up, before everybody went to sleep, I went outside and took a bunch of pictures at night. And basically, the photo album is set up in chronological order. So each picture is taken. They're put in order exactly as to when they were taken. So you'll see a bunch where it'll show a few of the crescent suns, and then you'll see a picture of the campsite, and then another picture of the crescent sun. Well, the picture of the campsite is in between two crescent suns. That picture was taken at the time that the eclipse looked like it did. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So everything is in chronological order. So
that's
and
good.
if you look close, you'll see that weird light when you get down to the crescent sun pictures, and then you see pictures of the campsite. You'll see kind of a reddish glow to the area there. It's kind of neat.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting. I'm gonna sit down with my wife and take a look at them.
Yep.
She was in the office at the time of the eclipse, so she didn't get to see any of it.
She didn't get to see any of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, you guys should go next time. It's worth it. It was. I would even say it was worth the 10 hours that I sat in a car on the way back trying to get back here.
Oh God.
And dealing with 5 hours of traffic jams. Totally worth it. I would do it again tomorrow. If I could. So all right. Well, good.
Yeah. Good show. And I as I said, I look forward to the 6th. I'm just hoping I can get this hockey information, prior to that. I like to use the hockey guide. And
yeah, I've ordered out for mine. But if it doesn't get here by Labor Day weekend, I'm probably going to go out and buy it at Barnes and Noble anyway.
Mm-hmm.
It should be there by Labor Day. I expect it to come. Usually it comes right before Labor Day weekend. So I would probably check Wednesday or Thursday of next week.
Okay.
It should be in by then, the Hockey News Yearbook.
Okay. I plan on looking it up.
I would expect. And that's probably, if the one I sent out for mail order doesn't arrive by then, I will probably go out and buy it at Barnes & Noble myself. So I absolutely will have the Hockey News Yearbook for the next episode.
Yeah, I got to have it. It just makes things easier.
Yep.
But anyways.
So good.
Yeah.
All right.
Very good episode. I look forward to talking to you. As soon as I'll probably I'll get in touch with you this weekend. Probably let you know what those pictures are. And
yeah, I've got I'm working tomorrow. I've got my referee clinic on Sunday, and then Monday I'm back to work, and then Tuesday I have off.
Oh yeah.
So I'll be around for sure Tuesday.
Okay. Very good.
So all right.
Good to talk to you, Wayne.
All right. Have a good
night.
Yeah, you too. Enjoy the photos.
Yes, I will.
All right.
Podcast too, man.
Yeah. All right.
Take care now.
Yep. Have a good night.
You too. Thank you.
All right. Bye.